Welcome back to another 5-minute devotional. And as I said, we're going to be having several devotionals coming out over the next 4 or 5 days. And I'm excited to do this. I know that within just our nation right now, we're in maybe some distress, some fear, anxiety, whatever it may be. And so I just want to put some consistency in my life first by doing this, and also hoping that it overflows into your life. And so over the next 4 or 5 days, I'm going to be doing a series called Keeping Faith, something I think we need to do in this time. And today we're going to title episode 1, Walls Are Coming Down. Well, as I was putting together this series, I was in Hebrews 11, and it just starts listing all these things that by faith this happened, by faith this happened. And I don't want to say too many of them because I want those to be each day that we go over. But today we're going to be talking by faith, walls come down. By faith, the walls of Jericho came down. And so we're going to be reading that. And so in the first part of the chapter, he outlines what Joshua needs to do, how they will circle. And so we're going to pick up at the action here in verse 8, just to save some time. And it reads, "And just as Joshua had commanded the people, the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Lord went forward, blowing the trumpets with the ark of the covenant of the Lord following them. The armed men were walking before the priests who were blowing the trumpets, and the rear guard was walking after the ark, while the trumpets blew continually. But Joshua commanded the people, 'You shall not shout or make your voice heard, neither shall any word go out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. Then you shall shout.' So he caused the ark of the Lord to circle the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and spent the night in the camp." And so the first section of this, of Joshua being faithful, is to march around the city once for 6 days in a row. They're not getting too far ahead. For many of you, you're just at the beginning of this season. And so verse 12, we pick up and it says, "Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord walked on. And they blew the trumpets continually, and the armed men were walking before them, and the rear guard was walking after the ark of the Lord, while the trumpets blew continually. And the second day they marched around the city once and returned into the camp. So they did for 6 days." So those are the first 6 days of faithfulness that Joshua just shows to his men. In verse 15, "On the 7th day, they rose early at dawn, and they marched around the city in the same manner 7 times. It was only on that day that they marched around the city 7 times. And at the 7th time, when the priests had blown the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, 'Shout, for the Lord has given you the city and all that is within it.' He devoted the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall live, because she hid the messengers whom we sent. But you keep yourselves from the things devoted to destruction, lest when you have devoted them, you take any of the devoted things and make the camp of Israel a thing for destruction and bring trouble upon it. But all silver and gold and every vessel of bronze and iron are holy to the Lord. They shall go into the treasury of the Lord.' So the people shouted, and the trumpets were blown. As soon as they heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted a great shout, and the walls fell flat." And so what I see here is a beautiful picture of walls coming down. I believe, and this is what I wrote, I believe that we are witnessing some walls as a nation that need to come down. The virus that we are talking about continually, and I'm bringing this series to you because I believe that there is a large number of people on social media, on streaming platforms, whatever it may be, and I believe that we need some hope out there. We need some encouragement, and not just myself, but I hope other just content makers will do the same thing and encourage people. But we do have walls in our nation that need to come down. And so with that, in turn, I believe that within this season, we can see walls come down, and that we already are seeing walls come down. Some of you may say, "Ben, I don't really understand." Well, take for instance, today is Sunday. I believe that people are pushing for online streaming of church more than ever. Churches are having to close their doors, something that many of us as church leaders fear, but I think there's going to be something beautiful in today. I believe that people are going to be starting to ask questions on why. What is happening? Why are there so many people watching? Why is it people like our president? I mean, I'm not a political person, and I'm not pushing political views on you in this moment, but I think it's beautiful when you start seeing just people of power start saying, today we're going to pray. Today we're going to tune in. Today we're going to watch. We're going to listen. We're going to worship. I think there's something beautiful in that. And I think it's going to start having people within your life that maybe don't normally go to church or listen to worship music or whatever it may be. They're going to start to ask questions. So use that as an avenue to bring the good news. And so I wrote down, that makes people who don't go to church consistently a little more curious. So be open to those questions is what I want to say, and utilize those moments. And so I then wrote, just closing, that I pray that this time unifies the Big C church, that we start to see walls come down in politics, healthcare, people, churches, schools, and so much more. We need to keep faith, like Joshua, for he walked around the walls 7 days in a row. He could have jumped to conclusions. He could have jumped the gun and said, no, we're going to blow the trumpets now. But he kept faith. And I believe that there's some of us who you're not quite there. You're not to day 7 yet. So don't skip it. Don't skip from day 1 to day 7 and say, God, you know what? You're not powerful. It didn't happen. No, faith is just the power of pushing through the middle. Don't forget how just beautiful that middle process is, and how just you can rest in him in these times. You can dwell in him. And so maybe you're at home, you're locked in your room, you're locked in your home, you're locked in your car, wherever it may be. Rest in him. Utilize these times for the good, because we truly believe that walls will come down. And so just 3 things I want you to do today is keep faith. Keep faith that God is in control and that he is working. Secondly, pray. Pray that he will work within your life. He will work in others. He will work in our nation. We will continue to see walls come down, because I believe they're happening. And thirdly, worship. Worship like you've never done before, being thankful that you have the life to live, being thankful that maybe you're healthy, be thankful that, if you are fighting it, that he is in control. And so I'm going to link a playlist down below that you can click on and listen via Spotify. And I want you to follow that. Let's join together and let's worship together over the next several weeks. And remember, let's keep faith, because walls are coming down. And so I hope you enjoyed part 1 of Keeping Faith. And I hope you have an amazing day. And remember, as always, God bless.